Me again. Who would have thought? Right, so now we're doing the black sack mead. Pardon me. This is more of a melomel, like I said, because it doesn't have just honey in, which is what refers to it being a mead. That's going to go in there. That's going to go in there. And I need a sample glass to have a taste, to see what it tastes like. How cool are these gang member cups, man? It's so little. Perfect for what I need them for. So I'm going to go all in and just take a massive load of it, because I need headroom, because I'm going to be putting more honey in, depending on the... Yeah. Depending on the gravity. It's just a great excuse to start drinking early as well, really. Not gonna lie. Right. Bit of sweetness there. So it might not have actually finished fermenting the last lot of sugars, but we will check. The gravatar and we shall see. No, so it hasn't. That's at 24. I need my little book because I need to know what they were on. So the maybe mediocre mead, no, that's not the one. The sack mead, last check was at 130, so it is still going. Yeah, it's only gone through 8. So again, this is a pain in the arse, this one. I won't be adding any more honey just yet, because it's still got sugars to get through, and I think it might be struggling. I may possibly, very well, do something I've not done before, and I don't think many people do. Add more yeast. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So, I'll be back when my yeast is warmed up, because it's in the fridge, chilling. Right, so this is warmed up a bit now. I'm going to use half a pack, pardon me, into some water to hydrate it. And then just close that up and pop that back into the fridge. Try not to knock that glass over, because that would not be wise. And that can stay in the fridge and go dormant again while we mix in this yeast, get it all into the water. Get the little Klingons off the side. We're trying not to add oxygen to this as well, because we don't want oxygen in there. So I'm going to add this to that, and then I'm going to lob more honey in now. one or two things is going to happen. Either it's going to take on the honey and it'll be okay, and it'll kickstart another fermentation, because it's just going really slow at the moment and it's bothering me. So, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to add more honey as well. So first of all, I'm going to have to take more out and unfortunately drink it. So I'm going to get the baster of bastiness. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to take another hydrometer reading, because once I've put the honey in, I'm going to need to know how much of that honey got fermented out. If I don't know that, I don't know what the overall ABV is. Now, since last time, it's gone up by 0.8%, which means it's struggling. It is, it's really, really struggling. Now, whether it's the blackcurrants in there, I don't know. I'm not quite sure as to why it's giving up, but we're going to attempt. Now, why have I done that? I didn't need a hydrometer reading now. I need one once I've mixed all the bloody honey in. Ah, that was it, to get it out of the way, because I need the room for the honey. So, for this one, we used blossom honey. We did use organic blossom honey, but I don't have any organic. So I'm just going to use normal or non-organic, whichever you want to call it. So I'm going to pop these in. Like that, and that's going to go in. Always say it, but make sure you leave quite a lot of headroom there when you're adding more honey, because you're going to increase the volume in there, and you don't want it over spurting out the top. So that's that. And while that's going in, pour a bit of honey and drink a bit of mead. Now, it has a small sweetness, but the flavour from the fruit kind of knocks the sweetness out. A bit of a twang. Like I said, this might not work. It could just give up completely, not take the new yeast. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. What I probably should have done is rack this off, the old lease at the bottom there, but I'm not really too bothered. I don't particularly care a great deal about shoulds and shouldn'ts. I just kind of have a go and see what works for me. There'll be people shaking their head and whatnot, but each to their own, you know. Everyone got to do your own thing and do it your own way. Obviously take tips off people and stuff like that, definitely. Always. You know, there's always someone who knows more than you. Now, I know very little compared to some of the people on YouTube that have been making mead for a very long time. So, let's pop this one in as well. I think we're going to go for 2 in this. Methinks. So I'm going to bosh this other one in. I won't bore you with it, and then I'll be back. Right, so I've probably put about 1.5 in there. 1.5 of these. Now I'm going to stir it all up. Get that honey into the water. Could cause a bit of activity. Right, so I'm back. I've added about 1.5 of them in. So I'm going to stir it up, mix all that honey back in. We're not trying to add oxygen at this point, so we're just going to gently mix it all in and hopefully manage to get all that honey back into the thing. I know we've kicked up all of the least at the bottom, but that's where some of the active yeast is. But it seems to have slowed down, so like I said, I'm putting some more in. Mixy, 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 lots of mixy, mixy. You want to mix it in. As my experiment from my Maybe Mediocre has showed you, you don't have to mix it in. But when you do mix it in, it gives you a different flavour. But by not mixing it in, it will give you a totally different flavour, which is what we learn. You'll know when it's all mixed in because it will drip instead of gloop. You know, like, it won't look like slime when it's all mixed in. When you think you're done, mix it some more. Really need to buy a tripod. It's a bit problematic. It's resting my phone on a shelf. Mixy, 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 mixy. Check it. It's dripping off nicely. Can't say there's any more to mix in really. Yeah. Right, so that's all that mixed in now. So once again, we need to take a hydrometer reading, which means I need to move all that out of there. I really don't want to have to drink all that, but I will, in the name of science. So we're gonna, all that mixed in now, so it's all mixed in now, sorry, I can't even get my words out. So we're gonna check the gravity, see where we put the gravity. Probably gonna have to drink some of this as well, because we've got that water solution to put in with the yeast in. So now it's saying it is jumped up to. It's never the bloody size you need it. A hell of a lot, that's what it's jumped up to. 50. I remember that and I'll write it in the book. So 1.050, which is about half of a starting mead, a starting gravity. So I'm wondering whether maybe some of the sugars got stuck down the bottom. Who knows? Not me. Now I need another jobby because I'm going to have to take some of this out because I've got all that bloody water to add in. It's got the yeast in. So we shall see what this does. And I'm going to do a side-by-side test with this as well. So we're going to get this, which has still got honey dribbling on it, which is great because we want that shit. We want that shit. We want that shit. Just going to give this a wee stir, get it mobile. That's half a pack of yeast in there, using Mangrove Jack's yeast for this. I want all of it in really. And because of how high that up is now, I might have to take some of that out, because if this goes active again, there's every possibility it might overflow. So, well, I can't drink that now because it's got yeast in it, but let's mix that all in. Again, we're not adding air, oxygen, we're just mixing in the yeasty water. Right. So we shall see what that does now. I think it's all nicely mixed up. I can't see because I dropped my flipping torch down here earlier on. Yep, all that yeast is mixed in there now, and it's giving off quite a bit of activity. So I'm actually going to put a blow off tube on it, which I forgot to sterilise. But I'm not really too bothered because I cleaned it last time and the time before that. We may have a bit of a blowy offy issue, but I'll quickly whack it in some sanitizing water and that will do for that. Then I'm going to get the airlock. So to create a blow-off tube, you get one of these type of airlocks here, and you just attach that there, and then pop that in there like that. Get yourself a cup of water, and you pop that on into the water. I could even use this pitcher, to be fair, that's probably a good idea. Now, if it doesn't eat the sugars, there will be a problem of it being super sweet. Now, to me, that isn't a really big problem. I do like it sweet, but not so sweet to the point where it's not nice. Because that's just going a bit beyond, isn't it? You know. I didn't put enough water in it, you know. Although it will drop. And you just need to make sure that that thing's covered in water. The reason why I'm using the big one, big pitcher, is because last time I used a blow-off tube, I had to keep taking the liquid out that had formed as the bubbles were coming into it. It was taking bubbles out here. It was actually with this one, which I'm about to do the next test on, and we'll see. So that's that for now. Just going to leave that there. Doing it still. I'm going to move it there. It'll start producing bubbles and stuff once the yeast has sorted itself out. So that's that for that one. I'll be back in a minute for the We Be Jamming, which is a mead made from jam and marmalade.